It is early, so God morning to everyone who is joining me. This is my first or second time, I think, going live. I haven't done it in a very long time. Let's put it that way. And please ignore the fit. These are my workout clothes. So after prayer this morning, I did a little workout, and I was sitting down and studying and reflecting on a few things. And one of the things that I was reflecting on is my students. So for those who know, I have created a curriculum called Path to Purpose, which stands for Purpose, Aspire, Truth, and Hope. And it's for girls 10 to 17 who uh, the curriculum is to help build self-esteem, confidence, goal setting, etc., so that we can build another generation of young ladies who know their worth and their value. And I teach it in several programs or several places, but particularly in a middle school. And so yesterday we were talking about character building. And one of the things that I shared with them is that you're going to fail at some things in life. You're going to fail. And the look on their faces was total shock. And they stopped what they were doing and they looked at me. And I said, no, you're going to fail. I gave examples of those who have failed, including myself. But falling and failing at something doesn't make it the end of a thing. It doesn't mean that's where we stop. A fall is an opportunity for you to get up and do something better and even take the lessons from when you fail to go forward and make it better. So we talked about who you are. That's what character is. It's who you really are, not the mask, not the pretense, not who you want people to think you are. It's not the reputation that people have of you. Character is who you are 27. Even as you're building your character, you know certain traits are in you. It's just who you are. So I gave the example that I'm an honest person. So if you have in your purse and you leave the room, you can come back and know it's still intact. I'm not going to go through your purse. So I was trying to give it on a level that they could relate to. So this morning I was up and I was studying and I came across something I wanted to really just share. And I hope that you'll see it as important as I did, especially when we're talking about character building. And I think it's important for us to remember these things because a lot of times we walk around with masks on, and that's heavy weight to pretend to be something when we could take the time to study ourselves and improve ourselves so that we can truly be what the thing is we're trying to reflect to others. So I'm reading from a book called Self-Improvement, The Basis for Community Development. If you don't have it, I'll put a link in so that you'll know where you can get one with this video. But I wanted to share this paragraph. I'm on page 5, and it's written by Minister Louis Farrakhan. And it says this: it is written in the Quran, which is the book of scriptures for the Muslims, that Allah created man to face difficulties. God has brought us all onto this earth to face one difficulty after another. And it's the facing of these difficulties and the overcoming of these difficulties that help us to improve our character and improve ourselves. Now, the key word is to face a difficulty. To face a difficulty means to look at it, assess it, to summon the total strength or our being to oppose it, overcome it, to have a determined, preserving, courageous spirit to overcome the difficulty. There is no difficulty that man is faced with that man does not have the ability to overcome if he will summon the strength of his being against the obstacle in the pathway of his progress. Okay, so the reason I thought that was so profound Which one of us is not going to face something today? Some of us are facing things or dealing with something that we've been going through for a while. Some of us have the same trial that keep coming to us, and we're wondering why you keep going through this same thing, because we haven't summoned the strength within to say, okay, here's what it is. This is what it is. This is what the difficulty is. Now I have to face it, go through it. And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And it doesn't mean it's going to be overnight. But it means you have the ability to overcome. So knowing you have the ability to overcome means no matter how difficult it is, you can overcome this. And again, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And I think back of some trials that I've had to face. And I always have said, it is my faith that I know this will not last forever. This will too pass. But I'm going to have to face it. Not ignore it, not pretend it doesn't exist, not go around it, but face it head on. So going back to this, um, and it is the facing of these difficulties and overcoming of these difficulties that help us to improve our character and improve ourselves. So the ultimate goal with the difficulty is self improvement. But how do you know what you are if you won't face what's in front of you? Think about some of the greatest stories you've heard in the Bible. Those difficulties, what Lot went through, what Moses went through, what Job went through, they had to go through it despite it. I was listening to Joel Osteen, who is someone I listen to a lot on the radio, especially when I get sick of hearing so much stuff. And Joel Osteen was talking about the trial that Moses had to go through and how Moses was in the wilderness and thinking he was going to be so successful, and he thought he had life easy at one point with servants and life was better, and then all of a sudden he in the wilderness. Now he had to master being in the wilderness to overcome that trial. He talked about Job overcoming the trials he had to receive a greater reward. But it wasn't ignoring it, it was going through it, having the faith and the strength to keep working, even in the midst of. And I remember the story of Job, one of the things that always stood out to me, he didn't understand why he was going through it. He didn't understand why, because if you look at the book of Job, I think this is interesting. The very first couple of lines, when you open up the book of Job, it talks about he was one of the richest men in the land. So he was blessed with abundance and he was a faithful servant. Then all of a sudden he started going through all these trials and he didn't know why, but his faith, even in the midst of, and even when his wife said, why don't you curse God and die? And his friends was like, and these were his close friends who traveled to see why he was going through what he was going through, was like, well, what did you do? You had to do something. But he had faith. So I'm saying all of that to say, we're going to have difficulties. That was the point of all of that. We will face difficulties, but it's the difficulties that we face and go through. And one of the things that I loved about reading this, it said to face a difficulty means to look at it, assess it, to summon the total strength, or in to oppose it. So we're not just looking at it and going around it. We're not just looking at it and breaking down and crying like, woe is me, I got this difficulty. But we're going to look at the difficulty, assess what the difficulty is. We still working through it and overcoming it in the middle. And I didn't want to be on here long or anything. I just wanted to share that because some of us are going to go through difficulties. And I wrote a blog yesterday and it's on the website. It's our first blog on the website, at mysistershouse.org. But in the blog, I was talking about we in that season when so many people are going to, it can be a joyous time, but it can also be a very stressful time. It's a lot of pressure for the holidays, and it's a lot of pressure when you don't have family and loved ones. And look at everything that's going on right now as far as shutdowns and things get cut off. People are going to feel these difficulties and the pressure of them. But just know this too shall. We'll make it through this one. We'll look at it, assess it, summon our in, have our faith, and keep going through. So, again, just a morning, I hope, inspiration to remind us that this too we pass. We have the skills to go through it, no matter what the difficulty will be. I pray that you have a blessed day and have a great day on purpose. And I thank you so much for joining me morning on this live. Okay, take care. Peace.